Anti-immigrant policies, Title 42, the Muslim ban, and even the uncertain status of DACA carry deep and lasting human consequences. Behind the legal language, political debate, and are millions of human beings, um, families being separated, um, there are communities living in fear, and young people whose futures are suspended in just the unknown or uncertainty. These policies don't just regulate borders, but they shape how a nation defines who belongs and who doesn't. Um, with Title 42, for example, um, you use public health. It used public health as a justification to um, get rid of migrants seeking asylum, closing the door on people fleeing from violence and persecution from war torn regions or violence in their home countries. The Muslim ban sent a symbolic message of exclusion, suggesting that entire groups of people were inherently suspect, as we saw after the events of 9/11. Um, and DACA, while offering protection to young immigrants brought to the U.S. as children, has left them in like this fragile limbo, protected one day and threatened the next. Each of these policies reflect the nation's collective thinking, what we choose to value, and who we choose to protect. Um, as the Ronka and Gail in the book remind us, um, one of the statements that I liked, it's one must adopt an attitude that thinking is doing and doing is thinking. The policies we create emerge directly from the beliefs, symbols, and metaphors that we hold. And when society sees immigrants through the lens of fear and competition, that thinking becomes action manifested in detention centers, deportations, and systemic exclusion. Um, the concept of symbolic consciousness teaches us that symbols such as the swastika or even the metaphor of free market carry emotional power that can justify exploitation and exclusion. Um, from a dominant from a dominant narrative, immigrants are often portrayed as threats, uh, like as if they're stealing jobs, draining resources, and undermining American values. In contrast, the social work and human rights perspective, it calls on us to see immigration through the lens of shared humanity. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights asserts that everyone has the right to seek asylum, to work, and to live free from persecution. Social work grounded in dignity and worth rejects the myth of self reliance as the only path to belonging. Instead, it promotes interdependence, the idea that our collective well being depends on how we treat the most valuable among us. Um, the the challenge is how to change the thinking of on a mass scale. The if thinking is doing, we have to think differently to act differently. We must expose all the myths that justify the inequality and replace them with narratives that are rooted in just compassion and solidarity.